really the story of Wednesday was the Vancouver Whitecaps. Like, honestly, I'm just going to give them a round of applause. So they go down to Mexico in the second leg after completely outplaying Monterrey in the first leg of the round of 16 Concacaf Champions Cup tie. You're like, are they going to rue those missed chances? No, they weren't. Because Ocampo played brilliant, scored a great goal. Vite with the service after conceding in the 4th minute. Whitecaps punched back, made it 1-1, and they had that precious second away goal through the informed Brian White. This is one circumstance for Canadian clubs that I guess we do like the away goals rule for now, as Vancouver Whitecaps go down to Mexico and advance past a very strong Monterrey side, 2-2 on the night, 3-3. They advance on the away goals rule. No Gauld, no Atakubi, no Nelson. No excuses. They just went about their business and completely outplayed Monterrey in the second leg as well. AJR, you cover the Whitecaps as well as any. I was surprised by how good that performance was. Were you surprised at all?
I guess yes and no, because I continue to be surprised that Jesper Sorensen has come in and kind of waved this magic wand and has this team playing the way they do. But I guess I'm not, because that's what they've done essentially every game, bar maybe the end of the game against Saprissa in leg 1. Since then, they've been perfect in almost every game, and it's just amazing how in this game, again, and it was the same thing after Montreal. Ryan Gauld went down early in the Montreal game. Game still 0-0. They won comfortably. It wasn't a storyline. They just went to Mexico and played one of the biggest teams with one of the biggest budgets, 5 times winner. And you're not even sitting there after the game like, if only Ryan Gauld was there, if only Sam Adekugbe was there. It's remarkable. This team, last year when Ryan Gauld was struggling for fitness and was getting called up to Scotland, they looked like they could have had some days where they played 5 hours and they wouldn't have come close to scoring a goal. So that's the remarkable part. They continue to just adjust. They struggled for 30 minutes against Monterrey. Monterrey pressed very high, but it was interesting to see the Whitecaps patient. Okay, they're pressing high. If we ride that storm, they're going to run out of gas, and we're going to get our chances. And that's what happened. Sure enough, they started growing the game. And one thing that's really stood out, and I think it's not getting a lot of credit, but something to keep watching, I love how Jesper Sorensen makes aggressive subs.
Yes.
In these games where it's 0-0, he brought off 2 fullbacks. He's like, all right, I'm going to bring on JC and Gando. I'm going to make this game one where you go on the front foot, you go play to win. And I think that's, given the circumstances, given that they were on the road, that's very impressive, and they got a deserved result.
I'm going to pat myself on the back. I called it at halftime. They needed more numbers forward, but you're right. Sorensen, it seems like every game he makes the right move at the right time. And the biggest compliment I can give this team right now, we watch a lot of teams that are very boring and very bad. This team is great to watch, and they're very, very good as well. That is an outstanding compliment to a team, whether you're a Whitecaps fan or a neutral. This team right now is humming, and it's happened so quickly under Sorensen as well, Jordan. He gave all the credit to the players. Are there certain individual performances that you like to point out?
Yeah, no question they're unified. I mean, Kubas, we talked about it. Both you and I were lovers of midfielders who can do both, right? Keep the ball, but also have a bit of sting, because that's just what the game needs. The fact that he runs and he's ready to press and he leads by example. And then you have a Berhalter as well that's doing the same in the midfield. But those two for me were sublime. They're on a different level, the energy that they bring. And keep in mind, it's not like this is the first match of the season and they're fresh. They've been playing and they've been putting in that work consistently. I thought Ocampo, the 21-year-old Colombian right back, it really showed his worth and his quality. And in times in a match where it was stale is not the word I would want to use. It was a bit, they were trying to grow into it. A guy like that bombing down the right side and providing service and winning corners and pressing allowed the team to get that momentum. It's fine when everything's ticking and everyone's pressing and everyone's early to that press. But when things are rough, a guy like Ocampo that was consistent down the right side after his blunder for the goal, I thought he was exceptional on the night.
Who for you stood out, AGR?
Yeah, I think Ocampo was a big one. He ended up being my man of the match with what he did, and the bounce back from the early mistake really stands out. And what's huge was like last year, Ocampo came in and he struggled tactically heavily to adjust, to play in the system, to play to this speed. So the fact in 4 months he looks this different, this good, credit to him. But that's been a lot of guys. Everyone's playing to the maximum of their ability. Like JC Ngando is another big one. This guy was playing in the USL last year. He was surplus to requirements, has come back in, has looked fantastic. He's made losing Stuart Armstrong not really feel like that much of a loss because he's stepped into those shoes, and that's a credit to him. So shout out to a couple of those depth guys for stepping up.
Oh, no kidding. They're playing like a team. We'll continue to judge Sorensen, but this start is just as good as it can be. I wanted to bring up this fact really quickly, and I brought it up as we said goodbye on the broadcast last night, AGR. Like, the Whitecaps haven't had a Concacaf Champions Cup or Champions League run to rally around before. Montreal and Toronto have in their history. And it turned into a really, really special experience, which has elevated both this tournament in the fan base's eyes, as well as kind of set the tone for the season as well. What sort of knock-on effect do you think that this could have? Pumas Alajuelense next round, potentially Lionel Messi, Inter Miami in a semifinal. Like, this could be a little bit of an epic run that's building here.
100%, because I think Monterrey, this was the kind of team they've struggled to get over historically. Like a team of this caliber, they've had so many close calls. Tigres last year, Tigres in Leagues Cup, Tigres 2017, a lot of Tigres. But, they've just gone up against teams of this caliber, have played well, but then lost and felt like, man, we were there, but something was missing. And the fact that they now have this statement win under their belt, this is arguably one of their biggest results in the MLS era. When you look at playoffs, when you look at Leagues Cup, you look at Champions Cup, MLS, like the fact that they already have this statement result under Jesper Sorensen, like this could be huge because, a deep run, fans will rally around that. So far this competition, it's been a bit quieter in terms of attendances. I think the squads itself played a difference, but there's a lot to be rallied around.
Final input goes to Nick Ledgerwood in behind Jordan Wilson. Keep on staring and flexing, Ledge, if you think this was the best show of the week. I'll take that as a yes. This is Blood Soccer today.